Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My dear friends, today we are going to discuss about a topic that is regarding that what we teach in Islamic psychology. In a nutshell, we teach mainstream psychology from Islamic perspective, meaning we scrutinize modern and Western theories and approach through the lens of Quran and Sunnah. So we are debunking the theories of West, where these theories are rooted in the Western worldview, whereas theories about the human nature, which are constructed on the basis of some empirical studies, some kind of experiments and the thoughts of some Western scholars, such as we know that there are different schools of thought developed in Western psychology. For example, structuralism, that they focused totally on the structure of the mind, structure of mind, and then after another school of thought came, that was known as the functionalism, then after behaviorism, then after psychoanalysis, and some more other schools of thought. Humanism was also there. Humanism, which portrayed the human nature, which portrayed the human as an animal. In behaviorism, where we see that human nature is it is it human nature is defined in such a way that human are just like portrayed at the machines, where the spiritual aspect is not there. So as we move towards the psychoanalysis school of thought, psychoanalysis that were developed by the Sigmund Freud, where he proposed that the human behavior is controlled and coordinated by the sexual drives. He discussed about the Eros and the Thanatos, whereas as we know that we critically evaluate the Western theories. Sometimes there is a critical appreciation is there. Some theories and some practical approach of Western psychologies are to be very much important for it is practical implication as known for the Muslim psychologists. For example, as we know that some Muslim psychologists are there for example, for example, Malik Badri and Abdullah Rothman and other more scholars who are in favor that there are some practical approach despite of some atheistic tendencies in psychoanalysis school of thought. Wherever some Muslim scholars say that they compare and contrast the structure of personality in personality theories of Sigmund Freud, just as the super ego, eight ego and the super ego. They compare and contrast with the types of self which are mentioned in the Quran. That's known as the types of nafs, that we call it nafse mutmainna, nafse lawama, nafse mutmainna, nafse lawama, and nafse mutmainna, nafse lawama, nafse ammara. And when we there are some controversies between some scholars, that even Malik Badris and Ghulam Hussain Rasool, they call it the Orientalist approach, where the Muslim psychologists are peripherally making a contrast between these kind of self, between the West and Islam, their approach and their methodologies. There is some contradictions. There is some cognitive in dissonance. For example, Malik Badri used the term Muslim psychologist in the lizard soul. On the other way, Ghulam Hussain Rasul discussed the cognitive dissonance, that there is a discomfort between the actions and the beliefs. So this action and belief cause the further disalignment, cause further the psychological problems among the Muslim scholars who are studying the social sciences. Even though there are some practical approach, there are some approach in Western theories. We are not adapting it fully, but critically we should critically evaluate it. We should use the filter approach methodology of Malik Badri, that he constructed a psychology by implementing. For example, he critically appreciated some psychometric tests in Western psychology. Even at some times he is more critical towards the schools of thought on the base of worldview, that which are contradictory to the belief system of Muslims, that these schools overly, that when we overly make reliability on these kind of schools, it may cause the spiritual hollowness, may cause the cognitive dissonance, as mentioned by the Ghulam Hussain Rasul. In Muslim psychology, in Islamic psychology, we taught about the Muslim scholars on whose shoulders these modern day psychologists stood. Even though there was not a term of the psychology, even we know that there are some Muslim scholars who contributed towards the field of psychology. Even though concept of mental health was given by the Abu Zaid al-Balkhi. He was from Afghanistan, and he also discussed the types of depression and neurosis and psychosis that the modern day scholars discuss it. Even there is a research paper that which is discussed by the Dr. Rani Awad, who is a associate professor in psychiatry from the Charles Sturt University. He she contributed a lot towards the development of psychology from the perspective of Muslim scholars. They have contributed a lot. Even in DSM-4, and the book of Abu Zaid al-Balkhi, Sustenance of the Soul and the Body, in which he made a comparative study of some symptoms of the phobia. Even she identified there are some similar kind of connotations were given about the phobia, the symptoms that which were also discussed by the Abu Zaid al-Balkhi. And in modern day, DSM-4, as mentioned by Dr. Rani Awad. In contemporary times, there are so many Muslim psychologists are there who are contributing a lot towards the development of psychology. Even contemporary times, we can say that in 2017, International Association of Muslim Psychologists were established by the Malik Badri. And in contemporary times, during the COVID-19, as such, Dr. Sayyid Jamaluddin Miri, he is from the Sweden. He developed and established and well developed organization that's known as the International Students of Islamic Psychology. That's a good platform for dissemination of the knowledge of Islamic psychology around the globe. Even some scholars who have written books, thousands of books are written on this area. And in Kashmir Valley, we are not aware about it as such. There are some there are some connotations regarding it. Even the people are not aware about it. So as my concern is that there is a slight emergence of Islamic psychology in the valley. And there are some other countries. It's about around 24 countries are there where this subject is maintained as a separate discipline from the psychology. And even there was a survey that was done by the Abdullah Uthman and Amber Haq. And they wrote a book on Islamic psychology around the globe. This is the title of this book. Title of this book. This book was funded by the International Association of Muslim Psychologists. Even every year, some conferences were held by the this international held by the International Association of Muslim Psychologists in collaboration with the Islamic University of the Malaysia and Aligarh Muslim University and Institute of Objective Studies. So in contemporary times, we can say that there is a need to develop this discipline. So how this discipline can be developed? Muslim psychologists should master the Western psychology Western psychology and get the training in the Western pattern West in the psychology as well as in the psychiatry. Then in counseling sessions they can according to the need, they can intervene. They can introduce the integrate the concept of spirituality. And there is a need, there is a need to reorient the psychology from the perspective of is from the perspective of Islam, and from the perspective of Islam. And it should be reoriented by the patterns of the cultural sensitivity. So this was the concern that what we taught in Islamic psychology. Thank you very much.